fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Fowler, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Well, welcome to a new season of Club Day Masters competition. Now, in our 6th season, would you believe it? And it is time for round 1, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. On the national circuit, previously used by some touring car series, by DTM, for example. Slightly different, slightly shorter, and hopefully in our Club Day Masters format, that is going to give us some great action today across a new format as well. And cover all of that and bring you up to speed this season on SimSpeed TV. I'm David Haynes and I'm joined by Nick Skariev. Nick, for a couple of seasons now, 2 30-minute races, but we change now to more of a sprint and feature format.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. Thanks for having me. Bit of a shake-up this time, so as well as the safety car as well. So we usually went with the safety car around that halfway mark. So they're now leaving it for a possibility for race 2 anyways to kind of get everything out underway. So it's going to be a lot more based around strategy, I think, this season.
Yeah, and there is not only some beautiful shots of circuit Barcelona, Catalunya, but the race details there about how we're doing it. A 15-minute race should be just an out-and-out sprint for race 1. Race 2, things get a little more complicated. A longer race with a compulsory 2-tyre pit stop. And add in the starting fuel. They're also going to need to take some fuel at that pit stop as well. So a fuel and tyre pit stop. And then the question, the possibility of a safety car in that second race, but not a guarantee. So that will make race 2 very interesting with the strategy. Potential green flag dash all the way, potential for it to get bunched up a little. And this is our 9-round schedule, starting here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya on the national layout. And then Red Bull Ring, another Grand Prix track, very much in people's minds these coming weekends for round 2. Then Silverstone for the Legacy Grand Prix layout, Hockenheim Ring, Monza, Watkins Glen, Interlagos, Twin Ring, Motegi, and Phillip Island. Only those last 2 tracks have never hosted a Formula 1 Grand Prix.
Yeah, absolutely there, Dave. So a bit of a world tour this time around. We've seen a lot of the, you could say, the Audi TCR going back to its roots. We've done like a lot of touring car tracks in the way of like Oran Park and Donington and Silverstone and whatnot. So yeah, we're taking a bit more of an F1 outlook as well. And yeah, also throwing in Motegi. Motegi was great last season. That actually provided some really good action there, as well as Phillip Island.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting to, see we're doing the Grand Prix layout for Hockenheim Ring and Monza and Watkins Glen, the classic boot is actually what F1 raced before the inner loop / bus stop / whatever you want to call it got put in there.
Almost covering 2 and 4 wheels Grand Prix, of course, the Red Bull Ring, MotoGP heading to a little bit later on, and Philippines a little bit up in the air. So at least we get to see it here on SimSpeed.
Exactly. So 9 rounds to our championship and our schedule there. And this season, brought to you by several of our great Club Day Masters partners who make the broadcast possible, who make the championship possible. Key among them this season, SimWorks Race Simulators, stepping up to not quite a title sponsorship role there, but the principal partner, let's call it that, for this 9-round season. And then many of the others familiar to our viewers will be returning. Automotive Towing in South Australia, Digital Marketing Tribe, Palmer's, Extreme Air Conditioning, and now Global Logistics. So great to have those partners new and returning.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. And it gives a bit of a prize pool as well. So a lot of cash prizes that we saw last season. Expecting to see quite a lot of prizes this season. Of course, the main prize that was given out, and I'm sure that we've got one coming up for this season as well, the SimWorks pedal set as well. So pretty a lot to drive for, that's for sure. So everyone will be wanting to really try and work the points table and try and get themselves up there.
Indeed. We're not far away from qualifying getting started, but there has been just a slight delay to it. Not a weather delay. Look at the beautiful, beautiful Spanish sun in this part of the world. Momentarily, we should be looking at the Audi TCR cars on track for qualifying here. And it is not what all of these leagues or all of these series do for qualifying. It's not separate solo qualifying. It is group qualifying. It is all cars on track together, and that is always mayhem for the TCR touring cars that down the long pit straight here and at other places really, really benefit from a slipstream, really are pack racing touring cars. To have them all on track together all at the same time for qualifying often adds a little bit of spice, more spice than the curry powder I put in my fried rice this evening.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've seen too with Catalonia, really big drafting opportunities, really big flow. So we're just going to have a little bit of the track map here in the sunny location here of the Catalan people in Spain.
Yeah, and of course, many people very familiar with the full Grand Prix layout of this circuit and little places in the final sector where it's maybe been butchered a little bit, but that is a matter of personal opinion. But then the national layout probably doesn't get as much worldwide love, but you can tell from this shot from the air, the amount of rubber laid down in that hairpin that leads earlier back around and sort of skips the first sector, what would be Grand Prix 1, 2, and 3. I think he gets a lot of track day use and testing use, as well as national level competition, as the name national layout would suggest. I think Spanish for national is probably like nacional or something. So I don't know what the locals call it. But yeah, I'd be able to read that on a sign and work out what it meant, even if the rest of my Spanish is a little no bueno. So here is qualifying now underway, and we practice then leading into qualifying, but we're right on board with Brent Hobson for the minute. And what a great bumper grid of drivers. We talked about the sponsors new and returning, but the drivers new and returning. We have Brenton Hobson and many, many others giving us a big TCR grid of more than 30 cars for this season opener. And this is what we're talking about. This is the national layout. Before you get all the way down to the Grand Prix layout, you've got to put on the brakes earlier and then into this hairpin. That's the bit that sort of shortcuts the first sector, and the rest of it is familiar. But that's what makes the national layout the national layout.
Yeah, that's right. And you're definitely correct as well. Some new drivers and some really strong returning ones. So it'd be great to see Brenton Hobson up against the likes of Caleb Hydes. I think I saw Jack there as well. His name's just slipped my mind. Sorry, Jack Boyd, Glenn Boyd. We had, who was it? They had the two guys that would knock off from work and then Zoom from next to each other in the same room as well. I remember Dylan Burst. He was really strong there.
It was Brady
MX5s.
Buchanan and
That's it. Yes. Still
Anthony
in their work
Connors, I think.
clothes. So yeah, a lot of few new drivers and a lot of returning ones as well. So not with the MX5s this time around. So we're just sticking with the Audi TCR, really sticking it to the Club Day Masters roots there of touring car driving and not opting for the multi-class this time around.
And I don't think that's drawn any complaints to go to, well, return to the pure TCR format. TCR was often where a lot of the action was in the previous seasons as well. So I think just to have more drivers in the one TCR category will definitely excite, and then put the challenge on your top 5 drivers or so in that class as well, because if they have a bad race or if they tangle with someone, then the points loss is far more significant if you get dropped out of the top 20. We saw, maybe some races last season where a driver might have a poor race and still end up finishing 8th or so because our 20 to 30 drivers were split across 2 classes. Now, all of them in the one class, it is going to make the racing that much closer, really keep the cars close in the mid-pack as well. I mean, all of that will add to the action and then also add to the driving experience, because no one wants to, get on the sim on Monday night and spend an hour, hot lapping all by themselves while everyone else races and they're in a no man's land with no one to battle. That this kind of fixes that.
Yeah, it's exactly right there. Just seeing a few new faces that we haven't seen too much before there. I think Cairns and Mika Lemaitre as well. So he's a new face as well. See how they go there. National layout, not used all that often. So keeping everyone on their toes a little bit. Then of course there's Lee Harrison, series administrator, and who's been so strong all the time, usually always the one to beat. So he'll be looking for a pretty strong start to this season.
Trying to find my glasses to work out, is this sunrise or sunset? I'm trying to read some very small numbers on a clock, but the answer is it's actually sunrise. So the track is going to potentially warm up through qualifying and through the races. And as great as the headlights on these cars are, I was worried we were going to race a little too far into the dark, but that's not going to be the case. Beautiful Spanish sunrise is what we're going to be treated to, with mostly cloudy, partly cloudy conditions there.
I was going to ask if it was post-siesta or pre-siesta. Always admired the Spanish to be able to have a nap in the middle of the day. Something that I kind of live by as well. I usually have something quite big to eat. Try and nap as much as I can. This is early morning though, so won't be too much of that. Not yet anyways.
So you can see we're under a minute from qualifying kicking off. And already, just in this practice session, super close times there. You can see the intervals, driver to driver to driver. And yeah, there's only a few of them that are a tenth of a second. It is really close in the mid-pack per those practice times. Hopefully qualifying will look similar. How many drivers? I see 35 at the moment. The national layout gives us a shorter lap. I hope we've still got room for 35 cars. We definitely do. But, yeah, they'd have a little more space to spread out on the full Grand Prix layout. That is not what we've got here. Hello, Lachlan Manif returning as well. For a second, I almost read that as Lockie Mansell, because I know I know that beauty has been resetting up his sim gear. Saw that on his Facebook story that he pulled the G27 out of the box and plugged it back in.
Oh, he'll be enjoying a shout out. Hope he's doing all right.
This is the biggest exposure he's had since Channel 9. So I'm hearing in my ear Beauty and the Geek on Channel 9 next Sunday night. Is that the start of the season, Jay? First episode next Sunday night. Tune in to see SimSpeed and Checkered Flag Media's own Lockie Mansell on Beauty and the Geek.
I can't tell if you're having me on, Dave.
Sorry?
I can't tell if you're having me on.
Oh, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. He's on Beauty and the Geek.
I'll have to find the antenna plugged to my TV. I don't think I've watched Brady Air in a little while, but I'll definitely, I'll definitely be tuning into that.
I've got no free to air because I got given this TV by my parents that is like old enough that it no longer picks up the redone digital stations. So I got maybe 2 channels. So it just exists as a big screen in the corner of my room here with a Chromecast plugged in. That works for watching F1. That works for playing some music. But I might have to register for whatever the Channel 9 account is to
and by the way, everyone, that could potentially, we just told you a secret. So let's just keep this a secret amongst ourselves. Here and not tell anyone.
Okay. Enough about the dying medium of terrestrially broadcast television, because I think this is qualifying underway. And, of course, TCR tyre warm-up, always a difficult topic. They take a little while to warm up, but they don't seem to warm up evenly front to back either, as you would like. So it often takes a little bit of work and a little bit of management. Feed into that how absolutely packed together it seems like all of these drivers are. That's the classic layout out there for whatever Drop Bear Motorsport car that was that we saw riding on board from Brenton Hobson. I believe Hobbo on a flying lap right now. A whole lot of traffic in front of Mr. 88.
Yeah, but he is pulling that gap pretty well. You can see that's about maybe a 5-10 second gap just ahead of him there. So he's got just enough. It's enough of a buffer to be able to pull that draft along, but not so much in front that he still gets a really good draft there. So it looks like he'll be in for a pretty strong lap.
Well, it's one of the first lap times we've seen on the board. It puts him to second for the moment, just fractionally, and I mean literally fractionally, thousandth of a second behind Jack Boyd. So that's close for the pole at the moment, with still quite a few more laps to go for these guys. They will be actually relishing in this 10-minute qualifying session that it's the national layout, because that gives them a chance to put in just a couple more attempts at a lap. Whereas 10 minutes minus an out lap on the Grand Prix layout really isn't going to get you many laps at all here. Bit of drama in turn 1. We're also watching Aaron Oliver, whose first lap doesn't look like it was quite what he would have been capable of.
Definitely with Aaron Oliver, very Mr. Consistent we saw last season. He really has a good wrangle of that TCR Audi, who's always up around that podium position level, so strong all the time, and just so consistent. It was very rare that he was down the back, only if it was due to an accident or of the sorts anyways. But he's just coming around to the start-finish line, flash the lights ahead as well, so people really trying to elbow each other out of the way for the time.
Shoots Oliver to P2 as Mario Vartanian goes to the top. Dylan Burse sneaks in. What about Glenn Boyd? Those yellow curbs, a real menace in the final sector. So much rest of the lap around, really threading the needle to take the perfect line through the final chicane and then power onto the pit straight. 121.3 is going to be a time on the board, but probably still 3 or 4 seconds away from what Glenn Boyd would hope he could do.
Yeah, Glenn Boyd as well.
Nice and neat to the curbs there.
Yeah, great seeing a few of the series admins. So yeah, Glenn Boyd doing a lot of work in the background last season as well, helping out with race control and just general admin, as well as Ivan Ventadiago. Yeah, I can't even get his name correct there. Sitting there in the top 5, so great seeing a few, both him and Lee Harrison. Harrison not really up there at the moment. Still trying to sort out a lap. So you usually see these two always there from the slipstream crew, having a nudge there at the front.
Caleb Hydes might have been the drop bear that was skipping the hairpin in the middle of the lap. But he is holding on a third. Is Glenn Boyd for another lap. He's going to pick up a decent slipstream to the line here in the little train he finds himself in. And that is much more representative lap to sneak him up to 12th place. It does look like they have brake marker boards for the national layout a little bit before, where you would obviously brake for the full Grand Prix layout. I was worried people were going to go into that opening hairpin a little blind, but no, they've thought of that.
I was actually just looking at the top of the timetables as well. Mario Vartanian currently up the front as well, so he's a bit of a high gun. We haven't seen him too much here in the Club Day Masters, but in a lot of the other leagues, as well as the officials or the TCR cars, he's always hanging around near the front as well. So he's actually made a bit of a break as well. So up just over 1/10 of a second on the rest at the moment. So just as I say that, Lee Harrison responding to that with a 1:16.75. So he's now a 10th up on Vartanian.
17-1 for McFarlane there. Did it count? Must have, but it wasn't an improvement on 6th where he already was sitting. He's in an interesting little train here. You've got Hobbo, you've got McFarlane, and then behind it, Dylan Burst. Some drivers in your top 10, and they're all sort of glued together for the moment there. And Giotto 5th. Sort of found each other on track, doing very similar pace. So it's working out for them at the moment.
Yeah, you'd almost think for Vente Diageo that he's almost at a bit of a disadvantage being out on his own at the moment, just not being able to pull that draft at the moment. So still sitting in 5th there at the moment. It kind of undoes my theory. Goes 2nd, so maybe there is a little bit of an advantage here at the moment, having that clean track and a clean nose, being able to brake as deep as possible.
Potentially interesting exit off that first hairpin though, where they've got to really keep it shallow to then open up the next corner and then going up the hill and through what would normally be turn 8 or whatever. I get the feeling Caleb Hydes is on a good lap though. By himself here, 17.7. No? What about Dylan Burst? He's just gone to the top of the timesheets.
Yeah, so Dylan having a bit of a break there from the TCR in the last season, but coming back so strong at the moment. So we're seeing these lap times really coming down here as the tyres warm up. Bit of a colder track temp at the moment there at 20 degrees. So yeah, it is really showing how that heat is changing the dynamic of these Audi cars.
Yeah, and I haven't seen many pit stops. Everyone's just out there and just continuing to burn off the fuel, continuing to warm up the tyres and just going faster and faster and faster. Dylan Burst, for example, has done 5 flying laps, and I think he's going to get one more, and that's common up and down the field. These guys are going to get in 6 or 7 laps into this session and still improving a little bit. It's Jack Boyd, defending champ, or at a minimum multiple-time champ. I always worry if I say anything too definitively that I'll be wrong and look the real fool. But he's doing well right now to be 6th in a much larger field than we saw for TCR last season. A bit touchy, almost out the final sector there, as there's only seconds remaining in qualifying. I think for Brady Baldwin, that would probably be his qualifying done.
Yeah, that was him collecting the rear there of Sam Lehman, who did not get a great run out of that corner there. So both of them, that will be them done. Just seeing who else is out on track at the moment. Jack Boyd potentially having another crack there. It's I think it's a hard cut here. So that will be the end. Racing is now underway.
Indeed, and this is how they're going to grid up for the first race of a new season in Club Day Masters at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya National. Dylan Burse on the pole alongside Lee Harrison. Then Vantagiato and Vartanian for a flying V formation, if you will. Behind them, Brenton Hobson, the newcomer, with Jack Boyd, defending champion, on row 3. Then the next couple of rows for what's really looking like a standing start here with a short run to turn 1. That's going to be interesting. Behind Jack Boyd is Caleb Hydes, Eddie Beswick, Mika Lemasurier, maybe, Corey McFarlane, Aaron Oliver, and Andrew Hobby.
Yeah, so Glenn Boyne and Thomas Martin there on row 7, Lachlan Capel and Brady Baldwin there on row 8, Dylan DeBono and Hamish Cleland there on row 9. Lachlan Manif, Adam Sharp there rounding out the top 20, Jack Childs, Nicholas Scaife, Greg Holmes and Damien Cairns on row 12.
It's the 24, but the grid continues with Matthew Boylett, Tim Rouse, Daniel Gomez, Jim Thomas, Anthony Connors, Sam Lehman with a 118.2, and behind that comes Darren Sharp, Wilhelm Leighton, and Jesse White-Carrig, the last driver with a time, because there's no time on the board for Byron Phillips or Hayden Jackson. So, first race, 15-minute sprint. Should be no pit stops. Should just be elbows out on the national layout between our grid of Audi TCR cars to see who can snatch the win. And in a second, they're going to have the light sequence start. We're going to hear the revs rise, and some drivers will load up against the handbrake. Some will just pull into first gear when they see the green light. No clutch in this dual DSG gearbox Audi TCR. So they launch with the green light at Barcelona, and it's a good run from Dylan Burse, but he's going to find himself on the outside for the first hairpin, with Lee Harrison looking down the inside on lap 1. Cold tyres all around the grid. Brenton Hobson's got himself a little bit of clean space, but the outside hasn't worked for Burse. Lee Harrison sneaks down the inside of the hairpin, can't get clear for the chicane, and it's still too wide for the lead. Burse is going to lose out. Vantagiato is going to come and slide on through. Brenton Hobson looking for a podium position early as well. Pole hasn't gone well for Dylan Burse.
Yeah, we're just seeing Brenton Hobson there slotting into that third place, so he'll be sitting pretty strong, and it's absolutely amazing everyone's gotten through on that first corner there. Hopefully I haven't spoken too soon through the hairpins coming through the back there. We saw, I think, a bit of contact there at the back. We've seen a few drivers there push through really well. I think one of those drivers was Eddie Beswick off the line, about 3 or 4 positions up there, but you see there's Sam Lehman starting from the near of the back of the field here, just catching up with a bit of our mid-pack here, just sorting themselves out.
Bumping and barging through the final chicane as well. Drop Bear Motorsport car's going to try to pick up some positions. Darren Sharp's going to pick up a cone, and now he's thrown it away, but at the lead, Lee Harrison's starting to stretch away from Vantagiato, and Burse and Hobson have traded that third position back and forth a couple of times. It was a good move through the hairpin from Burse to get around the outside of Hobson and put him back. And here's Jack Boyd running in 6th. He's got a bit of a train action through the opening hairpin here for McFarlane and Hydes and Lemessier, and Hobby is going to try to switch back underneath and around those guys, as 2 of them are going to get a slowdown penalty. Shortcutting there. It is elbows out early in this sprint race.
Yeah, that's right. So not forgetting as well that in the sprint race, whether or not they've got to take fuel or not as well, I think that might just be for the feature. So you can see even 3 wide here at the moment. Thankfully it's quite a wide track here, so plenty of space for everyone to try and get their own spot in there at the moment. But just catching up, I think that might be Greg Holmes there, a little bit further down the back, so he's doing pretty well. I think he's gone up a few spaces, as well as Anthony Connors there, up in 26.
3 positions gained from him. We ride on board with Vartanian in 7th, looking at Jack Boyd in 6th. Slightly shortened run towards the turn 1 on this national layout. Still, we see plenty of attempts at overtaking here. Vartanian not going to be one of them this time. We almost saw him lift out of the throttle a little bit. It's to give space to Jack Boyd to maybe do his magic and try and catch the top 5. That could be the thoughts from Vartanian. He's the older Boyd, Glenn Boyd. And yeah, there just never ends up being room around the outside of that chicane. Tangled together, looks like Tim Rouse and everyone coming together there on the exit of turn 1. I see 4 damaged Audis.
Yeah, they've thankfully managed to get themselves off. I think that that was Daniel Gomez and one of the other cars there, so that was pretty unfortunate. Just having a look there, I think that's Aaron Oliver there, down the just behind Andrew Hobby. Andrew Hobby having a big lunge there at the start, but he's managed. Other than that, he's managed to keep his nose pretty clean here. Just coming around the back of the circuit, so you can see the time is almost getting down to that 10-minute mark. So really short and sharp race here at the moment. So if you got to make a move, you want to make it really quick there. We'll just see. I think that's Lee Harrison under a lot of pressure by his. I think that is his teammate there as well, and Dylan Burst as well, right on the back.
Yeah. Burst tried to make it 3 wide. Instead, he's just going to try to scoot back down the inside of Lee Harrison, and I think he's managed to just do it. But suddenly, Brenton Hobson and Eddie Beswick right back on them as well. Etichiato with the lead. Dylan Burst hopping that yellow curb, upsetting the car a little bit. What about the key overtaking opportunity then at the end of this straight? Full commitment over the crest. Down towards the turn 9, 10 hairpin bursts. Is he just defending from Harrison as much as he's trying to attack Vantagiato?
Yeah, it is a really technical section there, so not really needing too much momentum, so felt the need to defend that inside line there as well, and even still has not lost too much space there to Lee Harrison. He's still right on his tail at the moment, so should still be a few laps to be able to put a move in. All really comes down to this run here down onto the straight.
More elbows out stuff jumping across that yellow sausage curb. Is this Brady Baldwin here? It is, as he's tried to get his way past Mika Lemassieur. And they have quite the pack forming up behind them. At the lead, the action is on as well. Burst had another dig at Vantagiato, and Lee Harrison starting to feel a bit of pressure from Brenton Hobson. And Eddie Beswick doing a good job holding on to this top 5 train as they start to a little bit stretch away from the cars behind, but Jack Boyd really not far off, picking up the slipstream off the leaders either. It's a 5-car battle for the lead right now, and with only 9 minutes to go, that is still 7 laps and still a lot could happen. I think the national layout, a good choice for cramming in more action into the 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'd have to say a great run to there by Eddie Beswick, starting from the 8th position, but one of these, especially with the front-wheel drive Audis, really trying to get it off the line effectively can make such a difference, and we can even see that he made up those positions right at the start line, so sitting pretty well in the battle of this pack at the moment. He's got a bit of a gap there to Jack Boyd, so he's not going to have to worry about looking back too far all at all as we come through for another lap.
So what kind of run is Burst going to get at Vantagiato? Vantagiato not backwards in defending that position. He sort of looks middle of the road. He looks all the way to the inside for the hairpin. Dylan Burst going to look even insider, and those two are really starting to cost each other time. That is in deep from Vantagiato. Can Burst cut back underneath? If he can't, it's going to help everyone else close up as well. Vantagiato is just going to hold on to that lead, but that kind of battling from your top 2 is exactly what's going to let those 3 drivers in the background catch up, make this an 8-way scrap for the lead. Vantagiato's held onto it for another lap, it seems. The pressure is ratcheting up, and it really brings Harrison and Hobson and Beswick and even Jack Boyd back into the picture. More defense from Vantagiato at this hairpin that has been iRacing cursed and since reprofiled.
Yeah, you can see that mistake there from Vantagiato. There's actually really bunched him up there, so that's actually brought Jack Boyd onto the back of that battle pack as well. Looking back at, I think it's Aaron Oliver and Andrew Hobby as well, so a little bit further down than what we've normally seen, but you can imagine with a field stack the way it is there at the moment, that it would be absolutely such a task there trying to get to the front.
It's Oliver and one of the drop bears. Oliver around the outside. And what happens here? So that's McFarlane Does he try to strike back? He does. And then Hobby sneaks it through. And then on the exit here is what we saw, Hobby and Oliver a little bit door to door. So there's action at the front though, as Dylan Burse has shortcut the track. He's off the circuit. He's probably going to have to serve a slowdown here because he's gone hip and shoulder with Vantagiato for the lead. Burse has come off second best, and second is now becoming fourth, fifth. I wonder if Burse has still got more slowdown to serve. He's sideways regardless, in super deep to the hairpin. And the Iridium car of Beswick is going to get up the inside. Jack Boyd always trying to bump him even further as well. Boyd doesn't know which way to go in this.
Yeah, Dylan Burse under so much fire there from everyone. I think he's almost had a clip from every car all the way. He was in first position for a very, very short moment there. Tried to do the cross on Vantagiato, but unfortunately got a bit of a tap there. You could say that Vantagiato should have maybe backed out of that one a little bit, but as we know, the slipstream cars, they always battle pretty hard there and don't really give an inch at all there. But
on again for the lead, of course, Vantagiato and Harrison, with Brenton Hobson wondering where he's going to fit into this puzzle. Vantagiato holds onto it again, and there should be 4 or 5 laps remaining in this race. Nearly 2/3 of it done. Still a long way to go if your lead is only 0.2 of a second and you're trying to hold on.
Yeah, that's right. We've just seen, I think, another spinner there. So, yeah, bit of a shame there for Tom. New to the league here, so not exactly what he'd want to start off there on the right foot, but it is going to be a pretty long season, so there'll be plenty of opportunity for everyone to try and get near the front there. On board with Caleb Hydes. We've seen such a strong result there in the MX-5s, not only in the MX-5s with Club Day Masters, but as well as the officials there. So back behind the wheel of the Audi TCR, sitting pretty well there inside the top 10. He'd be pretty happy with that.
And if it all goes nuts at the lead, like it could do, you can see he's in this shot with the leaders in 8th, just 3 seconds off. Vantagiato, this is his normal racing line, all the way to the inside. Burst in 4th position has just set the fastest lap of the race, trying to hunt down the top 3 here as well. So he's getting that car, the tyres into the window, a little bit of clear space in front of him to run some good lines while still picking up the slipstream. So he has shown that he's got a lot of pace if he can get to a place where he can use it. The top 3, though, still oh so close together in race 1. And it looks like a progressive grid as well, where the finishing order of this race is going to be the starting order for the feature race as well. So you don't want to crash out of race number 1.
Yeah, we've actually just in the back of the shot here of the leaders, we've found Dylan Burse there, pulling that gap all the way back onto this trio here at the front there. So great work by Dylan Burse to really get that hammer down there, and he's back on the back of Hobbo there at the moment. So Brenton Hobson's going to have a pretty tough task there at the moment, trying to get through the 2 slipstream cars there of Vantagiato and Lee Harrison there, as we see side by side going to the first corner there. So I'm sure that they're on the chat to each other there, so taking it pretty easy there. Or slight door-to-door contact there, but thankfully not too much to unsettle there. So that is going to be Harrison back in that lead now.
Harrison had his nose well in front, but just couldn't find that speed around the outside there. Vantagiato has exploited that lap after lap, I think, just making sure he holds the inside for turn 1 and manages to just take that short route around the inside, and no one can hang around the outside. And Dylan Burse isn't hanging around because he's going to take 3rd place away from Brenton Hobson, probably only just clearing the overlap before the track switches back to the right-hand side. So he's gone and taken that away. What's going on for Jack Boyd? We're going to have a look here. Curb, and has he broken the suspension or punctured a tyre on that sausage curb?
Yeah, not too Too sure what's going on
Looks
there.
like a flat tyre on the front right.
Yeah, absolutely unlucky there for Jack Boyd. Caleb Hyde's also having issues as well there, so exactly not what you want here on the first round. You really want to start on a really strong footing there, so he'll need to pull into the pits and a bit of a damage limitation there. He'll be, with such a big field, he'll be well outside the points.
Aaron Oliver now elevated into 7th with McFarlane Lemassieur getting into the side of McFarlane, sending him way out into the gravel, and there's damage on that front left. Looks like another popped tyre, potentially. What is doing that to the front left tyres here? No, that's worse than just a puncture. That's the suspension gone in that contact there for Corey McFarlane.
Very unfortunate there for Corey McFarlane as well, so quite a lot of action here as we're looking around. Just looking there at, I think that might be Eddie Beswick, and I'll work out who that's out in front of him. Mario Vartanini as well, so we saw him right at the front there a little bit earlier on, so he's just sitting there in 5th place as we look. I think that might be Glenn Boyd.
We're going to look to the replay real quick as we're starting the final lap of the race. Glenn Boyd thought he would be clear. It's gone backwards and he's lost that. Well, he carried the rear wing for a little bit before letting it go, but we are on the final lap of the race. They're battling for second. This is side by side between Harrison and Burst. Burst wants that second, and it's almost going to let Vantagiato off the hook on the final lap here, potentially. Still in the picture is Brenton Hobson, and he's going to get up alongside Harrison here and then maybe roll out of it a little bit. Burst looking for the racing line. Harrison looking to get down the inside at the hairpin. He's going to throw it in there, but not quite have enough speed, I wouldn't think. Coming through the final sector of the final lap for race 1, Vantagiato has a second lead, the longest lead anyone has enjoyed this whole race long, I would think, and it seems like the heat is around 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as we look at them through the chicane here. Any desperate lunges? No, doesn't look like it. Any bump and run from Lee Harrison? Neither. Burst, I think, is going to be able to hold on to 2nd from here, but Vantagiato is going to have no troubles holding on to the first race win of Season 6 in Club Day Masters. This podium completed by Burst and Harrison. Is there damage there for Dylan DeBono? I mean, there is. I saw it earlier. The front well and truly pushed in, but is he trying to nurse a puncture around?
Yeah,
oh, he's on the grass.
He does look like another one with that. Oh, and a bit of airtime and a broken mirror there, but he also looks like another one that's suffered from that that right-hand front puncture there. So, not too sure what's going on, whether or not that was a bit of an assistance or something like that. But bit of a battle of attrition there. We've seen a lot of the really fast names down the order.
Yeah, no doubt. Bit of chaos on the national layout of Catalunya. Vantagiato has taken the first win with Dylan Burst in 2nd, Lee Harrison in 3rd. Brenton Hobson 4th, Mario Vartanian in 5th, Eddie Beswick in 6th, and Aaron Oliver, Mika Lemassieur, Andrew Hobby, and Hamish Cleland for a top 10. This does look like it's the order that they're going to start race 2 as well, so any improvement in race 1, very, very welcome. Then Matthew Boylett, Glenn Boyd, Brady Baldwin, Sam Lehman, pretty big mover through that race, I would think. Lachlan Maneath, Thomas Martin, Adam Sharp, Jack Boyd down in 18th after having to make a pit stop. Darren Sharp 19th and Dylan DeBono in 20th in race 1.
Yeah, just outside the top 10 here, out of the top 20 there, Willem Leighton, Jesse White-Carrig, Byron Phillips, Anthony Connors, Lachlan Capel there in 25th, Greg Holmes, Daniel Gomes, Corey McFarlane, Jack Childs, and Nicholas Scaife there sitting there in 30th position. Also, lap down there, J.M. Thomas, and then a few more laps down, Damien Cairns, Tim Rowds, and Caleb Hydes there.
Hayden Jackson not taking the start. So that was race 1. There is a little break now, and then the action all kicks off again for race 2, where there will also be a required pit stop. So we're going to take a teeny itty bitty break here on SimSpeed TV, and when we come back, another race of TCR door banging Club Day Masters action. Many thanks to our supporters here on Club Day Masters.
Hey everyone, the USF 2000 is a blast to drive now, and here's your chance to learn it quickly. From my tutorial, VRS created a free bonus track guide for the Laguna Seca circuit, where you can learn exactly what I do in every corner to improve your lap times and get faster on track. You'll learn how to easily recognize brake markers, you'll find out which curves to attack and which ones to avoid, you'll know when to use the full track and when a sequence of corners requires a compromise. And you'll learn how hard to brake and when to lift. The VRS quick reference track maps are available free to download and delivered each week to your inbox. The entire global MX-5 series is available, as well as bonus maps like this one and many more. So if you're a new racer, or a veteran, or just anyone who wants to learn how to get faster sooner, the VRS track guides are for you. Just hit the link or button on screen and get yours today.
Well, how good does that Formula V look? Join us on Wednesday night for Aussie Car Formula V. That'll be exciting, as will race 2 of Club Day Masters here coming up. Our field gridding up on the national layout. And you can see most of it in that helicopter shot. You also see the cars beginning to line up. That go-kart track looks pretty tight. I don't know.
Might even be a bit of a mini replica there of the potential. I saw
Phillip Island's got it's such a popular thing to do. Phillip Island has a mini kart track in the same shape as the Grand Prix layout, and many others have. Shanghai has that as well, but that doesn't matter because they're gridding up. We're ready for race 2 in about 10 seconds time, with the potential of a safety car in this race, but a guaranteed pit stop. Our drivers are going to need fuel. They have to do a compulsory 2-tire change When will that strategy unfold in this large grid of TCR cars for Club Day Masters? The turbocharged engines are revving, the green light is on, and we are away towards hairpin turn 1 on the national layout. Brenton Hobson, not with the greatest of starts there, forces Eddie Beswick onto the grass. He finds a jump in the grass, Daniel Ricciardo style, but manages to keep his front wing. And from the pole, Vantagiato is going to hold the inside into turn 1, 3 wide for third, and already some contact, already some smoke and some damage in the air in Club Day Masters. Almost everyone seems to have picked themselves up and gotten going again. Hip and shoulder from Aaron Oliver to one of the Boyds sends them out. It is all going on throughout our field.
Yeah, we're just seeing Jack
more
and
there
Glenn
for
Boyd.
Brady Baldwin against Darren Sharp, I think. Oh, Adam Sharp it might be.
Yeah, I think Brady Baldwin also having a big incident there at the first hairpin there, as well as we see Brenton Hobson running really wide there. That's opened up the door to Andrew Hobby there. Andrew Hobby trying to go the long way around. He's going to be hung out to dry a little bit there. Mario Vartanian there looking to make a move, just sliding in there behind. So everyone's just trying to sort themselves out there as well. I think that might have actually been Matthew Boylett there that might have made that mistake there at the start. But how is that start by Eddie Beswick? He's an absolute demon there off the start line again, but running himself out of room there and deciding to take the jump that separates the pit straight from the main straight.
Yeah, never lift. There was a car's width of grass, and he took the car's width. Didn't quite work out for him on the start here. Quite a few damaged cars, and I'm actually perplexed to see some of them carrying on and not just trying to clear an early pit stop. Here's Darren Sharp taking his pit stop in the Tom Coronel tribute livery, I think it is. Sam Lehman copped a bit of a hit in turn 1, and he's skidded out wide, and he's just picking it up again. It's a top 3 breakaway with Vantagiato, Burson, Harrison. Behind them comes this battle. Brenton Hobson, Mario Vartanian. Vartanian looking for a way around Hobson and not finding one early as the tyre temperature is still building. And we had a couple of pit callers by the look of it at this point. Drivers not wanting to stop early and getting mired in traffic, but it might have to happen for Boylett and Adam Sharp.
Yeah, not too sure what's going on there with Matthew Boylett. I think I've seen him nearly in an incident on every corner for the first lap or two, so he's having a pretty rough and tumble start there. So, someone right up the inside of him, he was never going to make that. And I don't know, I think that might have been Jesse White Carrick as well that potentially might have started that off
logo
there
on that car. You've got to look out for anyone driving an NG drink car. That is rule number 1 of making it out of rookies. It might be a rule here in Club Day Masters as well. Hobbies locked the rears in turn 1 and lost a couple positions here, so he drops behind.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of an assistance behind that. Yeah, so plenty of action here at the start. It's actually just heating up here at the front there with Dylan Burse there. Just having a little bit of a look there under the corner of Vantagiato. So Leo Harrison a little bit further back there. He looks to be about 5/10 or so back there. So they're all just going to try and sort each other out here at the moment and then work out when to work inside that pit window.
Too wide, rarely seems to work through that final chicane. It's a difficult run onto the pit straight here for Hamish Cleland. Cleland's a good touring car driver name though, so maybe that'll help, leading Daniel Gomez and Corey McFarlane. Very resurgent Corey McFarlane, with damage in race 1, started near the back of the grid in 28th, now up into 15th, looking at 14th, looking at 13th, and it's not quite going to get him through turn 1 this time. Already a lot of positions gained from that drop there. You get another one up the hill here. Not a conventional overtaking place, but the nose is in. He's looking for it, and he's trying to force a mistake potentially. Not going to take that position away this time. In fact, he might even cost himself a little bit, because behind him, Thomas Martin slipstreaming, lining up on the brakes a little earlier.
Yeah, Yeah, so much action through that corner there, but great work. Good defensive driving there by Daniel Gomes. Closing the door there. He's having a pretty good start there, being a newcomer here to the Club Day Masters as well, as we just saw another car running wide there. So a lot happening at the start there. Dylan Burst, and looked like Dylan Burst going for the bump draft as well there.
He's going for the grass line too. There's going to be none left on the right-hand side of the pit straight by the end of this one. We've had Beswick mow it. Now they're chopping down an inch of the dirt. It's going to be a bit of a canal moat there by the end of this race. But Burst is looking for anything he can to get down the inside of Vantagiato. I thought that was going to be contact there. I really, really did. Here comes Harrison. Here comes Hobson. He spent one race staring at the back of Vantagiato. Dylan Burst doesn't want to do another 40 minutes of it.
Yeah, and Dylan Burst definitely feeling confident, like he's got the pace between. You can see he's right there on the back there. Pulls Vantagiato there so well under brakes there, so if he can get around him, I reckon he might even be able to make a break for it at the moment. So we're just having a look at a little bit further down the field there, looking at a lot of brokenalities. I think if you're a panel beater in Spain, you'd have a bit of work there on your hands. It looks like Mikel Masira has got looks like he's got another left-hand front puncture there, so not too sure what's caused that, whether or not he's hit a curb or something.
Those yellow curbs, isn't it? You know, sometimes you bite the sausage and sometimes the sausage bites you.
It is a bit of a sausage fight here with the sausage curbs. A lot of people hitting them a little bit too hard there. The damage model being updated that people might not be completely have their head around there. You can see everyone's sitting in pretty tight there at the moment. That might be Jack Boyd there just defending Aaron Oliver there, and a few other people here around the back. So a lot happening through the midfield there. Drop there under a lot of attack here at the moment between Corey McFarlane and Caleb Hides.
Indeed, behind them is Martin, Jack Childs, Sam Lehman around the outside at the top of the hill. The two behind him really clipping the yellow curb, and it seems like you've got to be careful doing that too many times. And also going to have Damien Cairns join them in the green and white machine. Lehman got in a little deep, still wearing the same livery as last season. Makes him easy to from the crowd. Actually got a couple of podiums last season, didn't he? I remember speaking to him.
Yeah, absolutely. In the MX-5s, had a bit of a mixed season there with a few incidents there. Nicholas Scaife now sharing my name and my number there, coming out of the pit lane.
Can I have your number?
If you buy me dinner.
Well, he's rejoined the race right in front of the leaders, and he's bringing a traffic cone with him. That is Spain's fastest moving traffic cone. And Vantagiato and Burst are going to be oh so careful about not only where Nick Scaife might go, but where that traffic cone might end up. I think that's actually causing problems for Nick Scaife. I think it's disturbing the aero, causing him some understeer. This is an opportunity for Burst, who really wanted to get down the inside of him. Not happening. Side by side to the hairpin. And if anything, Burst might just leave himself vulnerable to Lee Harrison there. Nick Scaife has inadvertently really closed up this leading pack, but still, Vantagiato, he just looks for the inside at every opportunity, bordering on unflappable in his defense. The fastest laps in the clean air pace would say Burst is a couple tenths of a second faster, but the key overtaking places, turn one and the hairpin in the middle of the circuit, you just can't get around him either of those places. Close as you like out of the final corner, but then just watch Vantagiato run it all the way to the inside and just hold that line down the pit straight, and Burst maybe try everything he can, but it is so tough to get around the outside of this 180-degree hairpin at turn one. Burst is going to try it. He really, really is deep on the brakes around the outside. Can't get there. Can't do anything. Is this a bit of a bump and run? No. Still finds himself at the rear bumper of Vantagiato for another lap.
Yeah, and they hit that sausage curb pretty hard there, but you can see Dylan Burst always trying to go for that cross there, and you can see a bit of a Barcelona there with Vantagiato going for the Valentino Rossi block and block pass there. So you can see Vantagiato drifting over to that inside line there, covering it off pretty well. And that's just opened the door up there for Lee Harrison. So Lee Harrison's going to have that inside line now. So that's slotted Dylan Burst here in the 3rd place. So Dylan Burst now in between Hobby and Lee Harrison there.
It's a great move by Harrison there. Up in a 2nd, pushes Burst back in a 3rd, and look at this top 7 train. Jack Boyd's on the back of it, from 18th on the grid. Jack Boyd is in 7th, on the back of this lead train. Pit stops still to happen for these guys in the next 5 or 10 minutes, we would think. Are we going to see a strategy masterstroke there? We're going to see a battle here with Aaron Oliver, Andrew Hobby, Hamish Cleland, all coming down the pit straight. Looks like Hobby has the inside. Oliver has the nose in front. Oliver needs to be so deep on the brakes if he's going to take this one away around the outside. He's going to try. He's going to run battles with Hobby, but it's not going to work out for Oliver, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, Oliver there, just up the inside there, coming around the back of the circuit. So just seeing a bit more of our pitters here at the moment there with Byron Phillips. Just catching up here with Aaron Oliver there. So pretty solid there in 7th place there at the moment. So just seeing the pace that we've seen from our top 5 at the moment. So just trying to edge himself up there a little bit further.
Fantastic packs. There's 7 for the lead. There's 6 here in this battle for 9th. Big movers here being McFarlane and Hides. Both those drop bear cars starting basically the back of the grid in this race. They're up 17 and 22 respectfully. So race 1 did not go their way. They didn't pick up good points. They didn't get a good grid position for race 2. But they are still looking at a top 10 here in the 2nd race. This is the leading cars, though. Vantagiato still holding on to the lead, and Harrison and Dylan Burst still holding on into 3rd, and Hobson, who we ride on board with, just consistently in the top 5, just minding his own business.
You almost forget that this is a 40-minute feature race with the amount of action and overtaking and barging and elbows out so early on. We're not even 15 minutes into this race, and we've seen so much action there. As we've just seen, it's one of the drop bear cars there up the inside and getting that move done there.
McFarlane on Oliver.
Yeah, Corey McFarlane on Aaron Oliver. So Aaron Oliver in a bit of a drop bear sandwich there. I think that might be Caleb Hides there sitting in behind. So he had a really shocker sprint race here at the start, but absolutely massive mover there, starting from 31st position up into 12th position there, hitting those curbs super hard as we see Eddie Beswick.
From like 6th place or so in that leading pack. Beswick has decided, I want out, and he's left all the leaders to carry on. Beswick might get left high and dry, or it might be a masterstroke that lets him jump these guys if they start really, really battling. All that traffic in there is going to cause a tiny headache for Brenton Hobson and Dylan Burst. Not dramatically. Vartanian and Jack Boyd look like they're still all going to come through. A few others on the lane as well. Beswick's not alone. He's got Sam Lehman and Adam Sharp and Jack Childs for company, and now it's only the top 15 of 35 cars on the road that haven't made their compulsory pit stop at this point.
Yeah, potentially a bit of a masterstroke there by Eddie Beswick, electing to make that move a little bit early there. As Corey McFarlane up another position again there, so he's on an absolute charge at the moment. Up the order, just seen there up ahead of Andrew Hobby.
About this next group, now led by McFarlane with Hobby, Oliver, Hides, etc. They are all going to stay out a little longer as well. Up the front, I mean, close as ever. It's just a repeat every time into turn 1. Vantagiato under pressure with the inside, takes the shorter run inside of the hairpin, and no one can get around him. 17 for that lap from Vantagiato defending like he does. Brenton Hobson has the fastest lap of the race with a 16.7.
Yeah, and you can definitely see with Hobbo just choosing to sit back just that little bit. Look for any opportunity there. Oh, and Dylan Burst just clipping that curb there with the rear wheel a little bit too hard there. So thankfully the the front wheel drive there of the Audi being able to pull itself out of that moment there. You can just see the different lines that these guys take as they come through the chicane. Let's put Lee Harrison right on that rear bar, and Hobson is into the pit, so choosing to break out of this pack now.
Yeah, indeed. Probably not for necessity of the fuel, because he's been in that pack, probably able to save all race long. He just wants to do something different to those top three and maybe hope that Burst can play Joker in the pack. Here's Beswick, 27.4 in the box. I don't know how that quite compares, for taking the fuel and doing the 2-tyre change on the Audi. I think the tyre change is actually particularly rapid on the TCR cars.
We actually, just had a shot there. So Dylan Burst making a big moment there through the hairpin on turn 1. So actually hasn't lost the position though, but he has lost probably about half of a second there, or about 0.7 of a second. We'll be able to catch a VRS replay of that. Look like runs it out really wide there, and might have run it just ever so slightly too wide there, choosing to clip it out on the AstroTurf there, not collecting the rear there of Lee Harrison. So
yeah, I think he might have been looking at Harrison, not at the braking marker, or the other way around, and he's just come in a little hot. Going, you know, that paved runoff looks like a better way of doing things than running up the back. It's a better looking pit stop time from Brenton Hobson there, 21.5, closer to what I would have expected for the fuel and 2-tyre change. And so others are going to follow suit. Vantagiato, Burst, and Glenn Boyd have continued, but almost everyone else is on the pit lane here. Aaron Oliver, Andrew Hobby, but then also critically, Lee Harrison, Mario Vartanian, and Jack Boyd.
Yeah, so that does leave, I think that's Vantagiato and Dylan Burst there. The leading pair. Not yet choosing to pit, so see if this clean area here of Hobbo trying to make a little bit of time back. Absolutely flies past there, so that's given him the spot there above Lee Harrison, so it's absolutely worked out perfectly for Brenton Hobson.
You can see it in the pit stop time there. He must have, first of all, he must have a good crew, but second of all, if you sit perfectly square in the box and you've got your tyre set up just right, you can often get that faster stop than someone who ends up skewy in the box or overshoots a little bit. Something to keep an eye on, as almost everyone else on the lane here is Vantagiato and Burst from the lead. Glenn Boyd thinks he's got another lap in that car, interestingly. Corey McFarlane doesn't. Hamish Cleland does. So interesting to see just 1 or 2 cars able to go a lap longer here.
Yeah, you wouldn't think there'd be too much left in the way of fuel there. I think it was only supposed to be about 15 minutes or so of fuel, but managing to make it last just a little bit longer there. So just seeing a few more cars come in the pits now. I think one of the Boyd Racing cars also have Jack Boyd there choosing to stay out there as well. So few cars choosing just to pick that.
Both got the jump on Vantagiato. It's got and Harrison's got the jump on Vantagiato. So of all the cars that have made their stop, Brenton Hobson into the lead at the moment, and then comes along Vartanian and Jack Boyd. So that early stop sure worked for Hobson, but he's also got the fastest pit stop time I can see of anyone in the top 10.
Definitely a lot of time made up there in the pits. We're just going to go to a VRS replay here. Daniel Gomes there, starting 27th, had not pitted yet there, so was sitting as high as 3rd place. So yeah, he's dropped a little bit down the order there, so just trying to work out what's gone on there. back into the pits there for Gomes, so that'll be his pit stop in.
Absolutely, and that means everyone, as we're exactly halfway through the 40-minute race now, has made a pit stop. Cleland, Boyd, and Gomez were the last 3 to do it. Here is Phillips, Hydes racing together. Beswick. Oh, well, that's off the road for Hydes. Mowing the left-hand side of the circuit because Beswick's already done the right-hand side.
Yes, we just see them come past. I think that might be Glenn Boyd or Jack Boyd
Yep.
there. So Glenn Boyd having a pretty good run there at the moment, so he's slotting in behind this group.
That tyre change, you come out of the pit lane a little bit slower than the pace that they had been doing. By stopping earlier, Hoppo's actually got better tyres right now than Harrison of Giotto. He's pulling away from them. He might even be able to break the slipstream if he's lucky. As there goes down the inside on Vartani and Jack Boyd up into 5th.
Yeah, but that could give him the ever so slight disadvantage there, and maybe 15 minutes isn't a great deal of time there, but he could have, I guess, a lap down on tyre condition from the other two, but just starting to see him fan out a little bit there now. Jack Boyd under a little bit of pressure. Just seeing Eddie Beswick come through now as well, so Eddie Beswick pretty familiar here with the TCR cars. Such a strong driver there, so it's great to see him in this mix.
And Vartanian's still going to battle, but with the pit stops done for everyone, biggest mover in the field at the minute is Caleb Hydes up into 9th. His teammate in Corey McFarlane, another driver with another puncture. You would think we are racing on Pirellis here. There's that bump. Definitely Michelin's, I assure you. But it seems like something about the camber settings or the pressures or just hitting these curbs is breaking the tyres. Where has he hit a yellow curb? We're going to look at the replay. It's not there. Might be that final chicane. It seems like it's either at the final chicane here or the first chicane. It seems to be where people are breaking the tyres, but gets the left curb on the left, gets the curb on the right, and the curb on the exit, and bye-bye. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm too late for the pit entry too.
It's just so easy to try and straight line those sausage curbs there to just try and make that bit of time back, but these touring cars are not really a road car with those radial tyres that you can kind of be a little bit more aggressive with. You've really got to show a little bit more sympathy than what some of these drivers have shown through. So he's Brenton Hobson hitting the curb somewhat reasonably hard there, sitting pretty strong.
Well, he leads 1.7 seconds, and I would say that is just too much for Harrison to be picking up a slipstream. So it can be clinical from here. Hobson is in a good place, but my goodness, is there actually still a lot of racing to go? It's still 13, 14 laps for Hobson. And I think Harrison might just have the speed on him to make this a two-car battle for the lead. Giotto wasn't able to hang with them on the last lap, though. He lost about 2 or 3 tenths. Oh, as you see Harrison jumping across that curb there as well. It might even just be who still has 4 inflated tyres at the end here.
Also something to take in consideration as well, you can just see in the background there, a bit of lap traffic coming up, so these 3 will be coming up on them really, really quick, so they won't want to try and catch someone big corner or something where they've got to wipe off that pace. So this could, especially with as much time as we got at the moment there, that could definitely play into this.
This is a battle we saw a couple times in previous seasons, Boyd versus Vartanian. And today, it's over 5th place. Boyd is only 1.2, 1.3 seconds behind Burst there. So they could still battle up for another position. It's another pit stop for Baldwin. And who else was in the lane there? Was it McFarlane or someone else?
Yeah, unfortunately, McFarlane's still stopped there at the moment, so not too sure what's going on there. And it looked like Brady Baldwin also deciding to escape out of it, so he's having a bit of a nightmare run here at the moment. Not so much for Lee Harrison at the moment. Lee Harrison having a pretty good run. Just sitting really
Beswick and Hydes is where the action is at the minute, though, as they're side by side on the pit straight. Beswick sort of ran wide in the final corner. Hydes put the nose there, and he's going to try to hold the nose down the inside all the way to turn 1 as they battle over 8. Hydes has, I think, got it.
These two have been trading a bit of paint all race, so great to see some really good action here, even if it's a little bit further down the field. Seems to have the curse of 6th place or something for Eddie Beswick. So I think he was around that 6th place there in race 1 and unfortunately got knocked back down. Oh, sorry, he did finish in 6th place, currently in 9th, so he's had a little bit of unlucky time there.
I think almost all of those positions were kind of lap 1, weren't they?
Yeah, including the jump, so really good effort there.
See, he's sacrificed the first apex to try to get the run off the second apex of the chicane and then onto the pit straight. Car legs back. Why is Harrison losing so much time all of a sudden? He was right almost up to a second on Brenton Hobson, and now Lee Harrison has dropped a second and a half on this lap. I thought he was just gearing up to challenge Hobbo, getting in the slipstream. And this is the replay. Trying to get through the traffic. Car's gone off the circuit, and then no, don't. Anthony Connors just needed to brake 20 meters earlier. Instead, he's braked 20 meters too late. Shortcut of the corner and gone into the side of Lee Harrison.
Yeah, it doesn't look like too much damage there to Harrison, so hopefully he can get back on it there. As we're just looking at Sam Lehman. I think that might be Adam Sharp there, just up ahead. Sharp having an absolute killer run here at the moment.
Both of the Sharps have changed their livery since last season, just to confuse us, I think.
That's true.
And worse, someone else has picked up that Valvoline GRM livery that Darren Sharp was previously running.
That's right, yeah. So that was Matthew Boylett.
I think this is both of the Sharps here in the DHL and the Castrol. Am I right or am I wrong? It's a two Sharps at a point.
There you go. Oh, also might be a little bit of Darren Sharp just letting him through there, so that's also going to allow Sam Lehman. One person always recognised by his livery there. Carries it over from car to car. Always looks very unique, always looks really cool. So Darren Sharp just sitting around that top 20 position there at the moment.
Second and third. So Harrison lost that time. He's got Vantagiato, race 1 winner, right up behind him. Are they going to work together to catch Brenton Hobson? Are they going to be able to? What might happen?
Yeah, it's really starting to look like this lap traffic is going to start to come into play. You can see Brenton Hobson up on another car there at the moment. Potentially having to wipe off a bit more speed. You see Vantagiato loving his inside line there into that hairpin. Just, as we're just seeing just outside of frame there, Dylan Burse again going really hard there. Oh.
That's another tyre down, so I'm running out of hands to count on. Hamish Cleland has got a puncture and decided that that's that. But what, we've seen punctures from the curbs, we've seen punctures from wheel-to-wheel contact, and almost always on the front as well. Would there be less if the track was hotter and they weren't pulling the same speeds? Don't know.
Yeah, such a battle of attrition here at the moment as we're trying to cast our eyes out. I think it's almost, we've still got 21 cars in there, so I think that's 13 cars we've seen either a lap down or having to pull the plug there. So, I think... Oh, really unfortunate there for Caleb Hyde, so...
Was our biggest mover.
Yeah, that's right, so definitely a round for him to forget, I think.
And then Lee Harrison had the traffic to get around. But he has lost second to Vantagiato, and I think this is going to be how towards turn one. Is that... No, that's Gutsy from Vantagiato. I thought maybe Lee Harrison was going to let him have it, but I think Vantagiato has just sent it down the inside there. They are now 2.5 seconds off Brenton Hobson at the lead, though. But Hobbo, it looked like it would be difficult to hold on to that lead when there was, 14 laps to go, but now it's going to be 6 or 7 laps to go when Hobson crosses the line right about now. It's looking more possible that he could just be smooth and consistent, and this pair won't be able to catch him. In fact, Burst in fourth was also the fastest car on the previous lap as well. Is he going to do it again? He's not quite going to manage it again, but he's almost catching him.
They're like the red mist between these two. You'd almost think that it'd be in their favour to work together there, but very much enjoying getting the elbows out and lining each other up through the corners. See if Burst can actually pull on to the back of these two. He is a fair few seconds down at the moment, so... But at the rate these two are going, you can just see Lee Harrison there, right on that rear bar there. Vantagiato. You see those different lines that they take there as well, so this will be continually slowing them up there. So I reckon we'll see Dylan Burst on the back of these two maybe within 2 or 3 laps.
It was worked for Vantagiato when he was the leader, but now second place, it's not helping him catch Hobbo. Oh, so close, and then bouncing across that yellow curb there for Lee Harrison. It's really self-enforcing track limits for these cars, it seems.
So just seeing that that split now between the so 1.3 seconds to Dylan Burst there, so he's almost within that draft range there at the moment. He's just got to be maybe another 0.2 or so closer to these two, and then he's going to be Vantagiato and Lee Harrison are going to have something else to really worry about.
Half a second faster last lap for Dylan Burst as well. As the battling continued. I think he had the fastest lap of the race in race 1 in a similar circumstance to this, where he could run his own line, but he was just starting to run his own line. He will. That's how you make these front-wheel drive cars rotate. Running his own line, but just starting to pick up a little hint of a slipstream off the cars in front, and that was how he set the fastest lap. Is no compromises through the corners and a tiny bit of help down the straight. We also saw him run very, very well in qualifying, taking pole. Running well there. Is that an honest mistake or another tyre failure? That's a tyre down already.
Yeah, so super unlucky there for Damien Can. So his first foray here into Club Day Masters, or at least for the last couple of seasons. Oh, and that's definitely put him out there into the wall. So that's his night done. Just another one to add to. I think we're sitting currently 18 cars here left in on the lead lap here.
Oh, wow. Keeping an eye now, second, third, and fourth, because there is, well, you can't miss Dylan Burst in the background here. Still just out of the slipstream of Lee Harrison, I think, needs another 2 or 3 tenths of a second if he's going to join this battle.
You see Vantigiato pulling a slight gap there on Lee Harrison. We've seen in the last few laps just previous there, Lee Harrison through that chicane, almost bumping his teammate, his slipstream teammate through those curbs. So not so much this time here at the moment. You can see Vantigiato going. He has a really unique line compared to the rest. So.
He really starts braking, pointing towards the apex already, which is a line that works for some cars and some corners, and it seems to work well enough. Certainly makes him difficult to pass as well.
Yeah, it's really channeling his inner Valentino Rossi, I reckon. So you watch through the curb, so he actually drifts into the yeah, there he goes, does it again. He actually drifts into the inside of the corner as opposed to kind of apexing it. So if you're anyone else, it makes it very, very difficult to pass there, but it actually slows him up just that little bit. So you can see it's pulled Lee Harrison right on the back again. Dylan Burst still around that 1 second gap there at the moment. So really pulling him in as much as what he would like here is we're just looking a little bit further down. Jack Boyd and Eddie Beswick.
Glenn Boyd and Eddie Beswick. Over 8th and 9th. 2 of the drivers, no, Eddie Beswick, I think one of the drivers, was one of the longest pit stops I've seen at 27 seconds. Compare that to your current race leader's 21.5. Something wasn't quite right in that stop for Beswick, and I think because he also went early on the pit stop, it put him into a bit of traffic as well, and so if he'd nailed that stop like Hobson was somehow able to do, I think it would have been a beneficial strategy, but instead he went a little early, and the pit stop was a little long, and he's been trying to recover from that ever since. Svantagiato defending from Lee Harrison, and Dylan Burst, now within a second, loves to see it with 2 laps and just a tiny bit to go.
Yeah, I was hoping to see Dylan Burst just even that little bit closer again, so he's still well outside that striking distance at the moment, but you can see Vantigiato definitely holding his teammate up here at the moment. Lee Harrison choosing to go for it, so they're going to go side by side there into onto the start-finish straight. We know that Vantigiato is going to run that really high inside line again, so he's going to have that covered off. So whether or not Lee Harrison can go for the cross there, we know Dylan Burst there in the background as well, going really wide, so he's hoping to get a 2-for-1 deal.
He wasn't, but he had a mega run at the squabbling teammates, and he has really just gained 8 tenths of a second all the way just down the pit straight to be on this battle. Harrison almost dug up the dirt coming across the hill. Vantagiato is defending the middle of the road once again. And we've seen Harrison actually make moves by going around the outside of people at the hairpin there to then hold the inside for the right-hander that they're going through now, but he wasn't able to do it on Vantagiato that time. And they're all 3 of them glued together. Aaron Oliver has a problem, and I don't want to ask. Is it
potentially tire related?
Coming through the final chicane on the replay, clips the apex at the right, lands, and the tire goes down.
Yeah, devastated there for Aaron Oliver. Was sitting reasonably well there. I think he was sitting around top 10 at the moment, but
Final lap of the race, Brenton Hobson is enjoying his lead and enjoying this battle that is going on for second as well. Into the side of him comes Lee Harrison. Dylan Burse is going to sneak around the outside of one of them, sneak around the outside of both of them. He's up into second, and then he escorts Lee Harrison into the dirt. Dylan Burse up into second. It all starts with Lee Harrison trying to get his nose down the inside of Vantagiato, tapping the rear quarter there and costing those two a lot. Burse from fourth into second, some of it his own muscle. Big move from Vantagiato down the inside. Burst doesn't know what to do about it, and he might even lose out. He is. That's Vantagiato back up into second. Dylan Burst saw him coming and maybe left the door open a little too long. Jack Childs bringing a traffic cone around. Final sector of the lap for this squabbling drive as the Vantagiato parks it middle of the road once again. Dylan Burst is going to try to look for the inside, but they're not going to catch. Brenton Hobson is going to take the feature win for round 1, season 6 in Club Day Masters. Oh, squeezed onto the dirt for Lee Harrison, who's going to finish fourth behind Dylan Burst and Vantagiato.
Yeah, action and plenty there. So bit of biffing and barging between the two Slipstream teammates, but absolutely stellar win there by Brenton Hobson there of Synergy. So he'll be absolutely pumped with that win there in the feature. So just looking a little bit further down, Lachlan Capel and a few of the others there. Almost looks like Sam Malaman's got another puncture there, but I'll let you go through the order there.
Yeah, does Hobbo have any fuel left there? Interesting, but he wins, and in the end, it's by 6 seconds ahead of Vantagiato, Burst, and Lee Harrison. Jack Boyd takes 5th ahead of Mario Vartanian, Byron Phillips, Glenn Boyd, Eddie Beswick, and Andrew Hobby.
Yeah, just outside the top there, Thomas Martin, Daniel Gomes there, Adam Sharp, Sam Lehman, first of our one lap down there, Jack Childs there, Nicholas Scaife, Lachlan Capel, Greg Holmes, Aaron Oliver, and Caleb Hydes there rounding out the top 20.
And then, story of woe, further down the list here, lap off for Hamish Cleland, and then Anthony Connors, Darren Sharp, 2 laps down, and basically retirements here for J.M. Thomas, Wilhelm Leighton, Jesse White-Carrig, Damien Cairns, Brady Baldwin, Corey McFarlane, and Lachlan Maneath, 21 laps down.
Yeah, and a few more of our non-finished there's Mika Les Mizio, Dylan DeBono, Matthew Boylett, and Tim Rouse there.
Well, what interesting racing at Barcelona National Layout. Darren Sharp is getting pushed to the checkered flag right now. He's run out of fuel. And this is why your parcel takes so long to arrive with DHL. But I think he's going to get to the finish line on that one. But yeah, 2 amazing races. 15-minute race to start us off that was just bumper cars action, real pack racing stuff, and then a little bit of strategy in race 2, and it was Brenton Hobson who absolutely nailed it with the fuel, with the tires, with the timing of the pit stop to be our winner. Let's grab a little chat then with a couple of those drivers, and I can definitely see our race 2 winner, Brenton Hobson, joins us. Hobbo, 4th place in race 1, really just sort of going with the flow in the pack, and then it seemed like that's what you were doing in race 2 until that pit stop catapulted you to the lead.
Yeah, that worked out all right, actually. I haven't done a lot of racing in TCR, especially against any of these guys, so I didn't know if an undercut was a good idea or a bad idea or what. The outlap was absolutely horrible, but we seemed to pass everyone, so it must have worked out okay. It was the right call, I guess. And we'll put it down to dumb luck, but I was a bit worried I'd come out in some traffic, but we had heaps of clean air and made the most of it, so it was good.
We don't see a great deal of racing on this national layout, but I thought it worked really well with these cars.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in my experience in TCR racing, there hasn't been too many tracks that haven't raced well, but I I remember doing a race here in a V8 supercar once, like when the track was probably first released, or the current supercars had not long been released, and it, if I remember correctly, it seemed okay. There's a couple of spots to pass, and it's a momentum sort of track. So it's, yeah, I don't mind it. It was pretty good actually.
What are you putting in the lunch catering for your pit crew? Because you absolutely smashed it with one of the fastest pit stop times. Was the pit stop tyre limited or fuel limited?
I was definitely tyre limited. Again, I wasn't sure like what the story was, and I ended up actually short fueling myself, and I was probably sitting there for the best part of 10 seconds not putting fuel in the car, just waiting on tyres, and ultimately didn't have enough fuel anyway, so that was a bit of a mistake. I sort of had to take it real easy and ran out coming out of the final corner, but it was definitely longer to take tyres than fuel. I've never done a tyre stop in a TCR car before, so I wasn't sure how long it would take, but it was like 20 something seconds just to do 2 tyres.
It's great to have you in Club Day Masters, definitely bringing something to the lead pack in this large field. We're going to see you all season long?
Yeah, I do. I plan to run the series. I won't be around next week, I don't think, at this stage, because I've got some other stuff on, work stuff on. But my plan will probably be to try and run the whole season at this stage, unless something else comes up. But I'm enjoying these cars. I mean, they're pretty counterintuitive to anything that I drive. Front-wheel drive isn't really my thing, but the racing that they put on is really, really good. So it looks like it's a bit helter-skelter in here. These guys at the front race real hard. So it's going to be an interesting season. And, I mean, if I do enough laps, hopefully I build my pace and we can compete for wins every time that we hit the track.
Well, congrats to you as the 40-minute race winner. Hi, chat, and who are you going to thank?
Yeah, just a shout out to the guys at SSR. They're a good bunch, and obviously to the sponsors on the car, JK Signs, DGD Customs, Smith & Sons, and all the rest of them. Also to the league for having me in here. It's cool to jump in a new league and have fun, and obviously to you guys as well for putting on the broadcast.
We look forward to maybe seeing you in 2 weeks' time.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
And we also have Lee Harrison, well, on the podium in race 1, I think, 4th in race 2, and he's going to be with Nick.
Yeah, how'd you find it there, Lee? I think a little bit of biffing and barging there with your teammate from Slipstream.
Yeah, it was real hard racing out there. Everyone's so close, as you saw from qualifying, and you know, if you make a mistake, you're going to get punished. So, look, it is what it is, and we'll move on to the Red Bull Ring and have a bit more fun.
Yeah, so with the changes there, with the pit strategy, taking the tyres and just a little bit extra time, did you have a bit more of an idea of what you were planning on doing going into it?
Yeah, I was trying to take as much fuel out of the car initially to try and make that stop, you know, as quick as possible and the car as light as possible with those new fresh tyres on there. They're a bit of a handful to drive when you're only taking fronts. The back end becomes very loose and the front just wants to plough. So that was the game plan. And then I saw Hobbo pit and I was like, well, I've got to cover him off now. So yeah, covered him off, tried to anyway, but he was too gone on his outlap.
Yeah, fair enough. You must be absolutely pumped there with such a bumper field. I think it was either 35 or 36 cars there. Lots of returning names as well as a few fresh faces. So it's going to be an absolute cracker season.
Yeah, super stoked with everyone that's jumped on board. Like, we obviously had 35 cars tonight, which is awesome. It's getting everybody to come back next week now. That's the issue. So hopefully everyone rolls in for Austria. I think that's where we're at next, and the track's a bit wider and a bit more flowy, not so clumsy with the chicane onto the front straight. So should be some excellent racing all through the season. Qualifying was super close. And qualifying tonight was super close. So looking forward to it. We've got some good names, like you said. We've got, you know, Hobbo's in there. We've got Jack Boyd's returned. We've got Lachlan's in there. And then you've got the fast guys as well, like Mario and Eddie and Caleb and all them that'll come to the fore when they get their feet.
Yeah, perfectly. Any sponsors and people you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Extreme Air Conditioning. You guys for putting on the gig. Now Global Logistics and Digital Marketing Tribe. Simworks, of course, they've come on board. Absolutely cannot thank SimWorks enough for coming on board again this season. And yeah, all you guys, like I said, for putting on a good show, and I can't wait to watch the replay.
Yeah, perfect, Lee. Well, congratulations on your podium and your 4th place. It looked pretty tough out there, so you must be pretty happy to walk away with that.
Yeah, walking away with a decent bag of points, so that puts us in a good stead for the championship.
Talk about that championship next week. We go to Red Bull Ring, fresh off the iRacing press. It looks good, and it proves to be exciting for these TCR cars here in Club Day Masters. We say goodbye from Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, and we will say hello next Monday night to Red Bull Ring. David Haynes, Nick Skariev, Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, and everyone here at SimSpeed TV. We hope we'll see you same times, same places next Monday night.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?